It's Monday, y'all, and I hope everybody had a great weekend. And what a busy weekend, busy last week that we had. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody who came out to the Winter Blues Championship. It was our third annual. Big thank you to Tea Times, Brandon Shawa, the owner of Tea Times, and the staff over there. We had 96 golfers, third year in a row. We sold it out. And this year, we had the first 2 years, we had the same team win both years. This year, proud to announce we got a new winner. Congratulations to Cody Winter and Aaron McWilliams, who took home the trophy at 8 under yesterday through 9 holes. I know, crazy. But Cody and Aaron were on fire. Eagle putt, they sank. They had the crowd going crazy. But if you guys are interested next year, let me know. It's a great event. And if you've never been to Tea Times, head up there. It's the best golf simulator I've ever played, hands down. We also hosted our third cigar event on Tuesday at the Detroit Club. Special thank you to Bill Dobinski with B&B Custom Clothing and Andrew Smith. Now, Andrew and I started this networking group just for a bunch of guys smoking cigars, and we want to grow the group. So if you're interested, you're a cigar smoker, March 25th, we're going to be at the new Churchill's in Rochester Hills, located on Rochester Road. So I'm really looking forward to that. Without further ado here, guys, I got Jersey Fred back in the building. Well, not back in the building, but back in Jersey. Fred, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, just living the life out here.
There you go. There you go. So, I had to bring you on again. Well, obviously, everybody's talking about what's Fred up to, right? They're asking me what's he up to? What's he watching nowadays? Because right now is the most boring time in sports, in my opinion.
Yes.
Right? Football's over.
Yep.
March Madness is about to start. Golf is just getting in the mix. I mean, obviously yesterday was, they go to a final, which was cool, but a little sloppy play, but not the same, big names that we're used to. So that's starting to, but once March Madness hits, then it's kind of opening everything up. Then we get into the Masters, which is obviously my favorite golf tournament out there right now. But at first I wanted to talk to you, Fred. March Madness is coming. I know you're a big college basketball fan, Seton Hall alum, right?
Yes. Yes.
So the Seton Hall alum. So
which is terrible right now. Terrible to say.
And we talked extensively last night about what we were going to talk about today. And
yes,
you got a problem with NIL at Seton Hall.
I do. A little bit, yeah. Well, 100%.
Explain to the people what the problem with the NIL, other than the obvious that we went from 0 to 100 in the NIL with football and now basketball. But you brought up an interesting point that I want you to share. Tell me about the predicament that Seton Hall is in with the NIL money.
Well, particularly with Seton Hall. I mean, listen, I'm all for NIL. I'm all for the kids getting paid and stuff like that. Right. But yes, they did go from 0 to 100 pretty quickly. The problem with Seton Hall is they don't have an NIL department, so they're not really actively seeking NIL deals for these kids. So they're relying totally on alumni. Now, they do get a lot of alumni support when it comes to building a library or other things like that, academic things and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, come on, let's talk about what brings the money in.
Exactly. So, and I've gotten emails from them, with concerns about this, alumni money to fund. So they use alumni money to fund their athletes, which right now they're at, I think they top off at 1.5 mil for the entire season.
Which for the whole season. Crazy because tell me, Fred, what is the average college basketball team NIL budget?
It's 3 to 4 million on average. A lot are, bigger programs are over that, but the average.
So it's damn near impossible for them to compete. They can't compete.
You can't. It's
right.
And that's why the last 2 years since NIL, Seton Hall has turned into a portal school. you get a bunch of kids who jump into the portal to see where they can get some money. And when they don't get the money they can get and other teams fill their rosters and
Right.
are out of their money, then they go to a team like Seton Hall, where they're going to play, but they're not going to get paid as much as they would.
Right. So is the hope that, and are we seeing this with these smaller schools with the lower NIL budget? Are we seeing that they're going there for a year or 2 years, building up what potential, right? Getting better or whatever, better their craft, and then moving on to schools for more money?
100%.
Okay. So
that's
why basically like a temporary stay for these guys.
Yeah, it's an audition school. Like, it's a showcase school. It's a portal showcase school. Like if some of these mid-level players, mid to better level players who aren't getting the looks because maybe they were high star recruits, but there's kids that are like 4-star recruits that are at Seton Hall now. The thing is, they just didn't play their freshman year, let's say, or they didn't play enough.
Play their freshman year at Seton Hall?
At their previous school.
Oh, so they transferred in. They were already at a different school.
Yeah. It's all portal guys. So, and we do have our number one guy right now is a guy we recruited. So that feels good. But
it's only a matter of time.
But the problem is a kid who's averaging 20 points a game is not going to stick around for no money.
Right. Because they see everybody else making all this money, and it's like, well, now it's time to get mine. Because obviously some of these guys, they don't even have the opportunity to probably play in the NBA, so they got to get their money now.
Of course, yeah,
right?
And that's
why I don't blame them.
No, like college sports is $1 billion industry. I mean, and to sell your jersey, Brad, and not give you anything, and then punish you because I bought you lunch as an alumni. I mean, it was getting a little crazy with that. I do understand like I understand how they were trying to set it up. Like I get it, man. They don't want kids to go to some alumni giving them a car, stuff like that. But the thing is, it was still happening.
Well, you're right. And you saw it down in like the SEC schools, and obviously the Fab Five went through a little bit of an issue there with Steve Fisher. And what was the guy's name? If you watch the 30 for 30, what was the guy's name? Big Money Ed. That's what it was. They used to call him Big Money Ed, and he was the alumni guy that was given all the money. But like at the end of the day, like these guys, they deserve money. I truly feel that they do deserve the money. But I think it's gotten too crazy. Now you got a guy like Bryce Underwood who's coming to Michigan, who won. The expectation of this guy is basically a national championship or bust at Michigan, in my opinion. He's in his hometown, and he's young. Like if he just like is a bust, let's say he's a bust. I pray he doesn't. I pray the kid does well. If he's a bust, is he still getting that money, Fred?
Yeah, I mean, he already got the money to go. So
he's the 12 how much money did he get to go to Michigan? Just flat out like
12.
So here's the check for $12 million, Bryce.
Yeah, he decommitted from LSU. They offered 10, and then the billionaire and Portnoy and stuff got involved, and they ended up giving him 12. Now, after he gets there, NIL money will still kick in. This is like a signing bonus. Like kids are getting signed to go places, which it is pretty crazy too. And listen, I'm all for getting the bag, dude. Like I'm all for it. Like get the bag, dude. But this is crazy.
Could you imagine at 17, 18 years old receiving a check for $12 million?
Crazy.
Insane.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine. I don't know.
I don't know what
great supporting cast and a great head on his shoulders.
And I think nowadays though, I think these kids are really getting better support than kids that were or even some first, second year professional NBA guys and NFL guys and guys like that. Like, I think nowadays it's a little different. Like, I don't think we're going to see another I blew all my money, I was a professional athlete kind of 30 for 30 again.
You don't?
No, I just don't think so. Just because I think that there's more investments going on. Like, yeah, they're blowing money. Like, everyone, I'm not saying kids aren't blowing money, but I think I think there's more support even within the college,
and rightfully so. Like the last thing Michigan wants to be isn't a 30 for 30 for the kid, for Bryce Underwood being a bust, right?
For giving the kid 12, no, not even a bust though, for just giving a kid $12 million and 5 years out of the NFL, the kid's living out of his car.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What's that one dude that played with LeBron and the Cavs? They still show videos of that dude tweaking out on the street somewhere. That's a terrible. Devontae West?
Yes.
Devontae West, like a terrible story. Terrible story.
Yeah. I know.
But with that being said, like what are your, I guess, who are your top teams for March Madness? Like, what do you, who do you see Final Four-ish wise?
So like this year in particular, like I've talked to Jackson Spikes about this.
Shout out to Jackson Spikes.
And
he knows his stuff.
Jackson Spikes is all over it. So I've been talking to him about it, and we talk about like he's like you were saying. Right now, it's a lull period, right? Yes. We're waiting for March Madness. There is a little bit of. Let's start with it. No one cares about the NBA and NHL right now. Okay, we'll get into the four nations in a sec.
Yeah, that's a different story. And we definitely, for the first time ever on It's Monday, y'all, we're going to talk about hockey. But go ahead.
Yeah. But for March Madness, I really feel like this is the year that the teams that are highly ranked are going to do well. All of them.
I almost thought you were going to go the other way. I almost thought you were going to go the other way and tell me that you were going to see a little bit lower seeded teams make a bigger run. But like, so correct me if I'm wrong. I know for sure I got Alabama up there. Auburn's up there. Duke. Who else am I missing?
Listen, Houston, right? Like teams like Houston and like if a Marquette gets hot, like teams like that, you got the Johnnies. The Johnnies are hot right now.
Who are the Johnnies? St. John.
Yeah.
With Coach Rick Pitino. Okay.
But I would throw Kentucky in there as well. I'm talking about these MSU. Listen, Michigan State, like the teams that we used to see go far. I think we're back to that almost. And I think that I don't think we're going to see a lot of low, like high seeds lose or win and upsets. I mean, yeah, of course there's going to be upsets.
That's the fun part of March Madness to me, right? I think everybody can say that. It's a fun part to watch March Madness.
Yeah.
Now, did you catch the Michigan State game on, I think it was Friday?
Yeah.
Okay. So Michigan controlled that entire game. Michigan controlled that entire game until the last 2 minutes. They literally fell apart in the last 2 minutes. But that just goes to show, in my opinion, in the last 2 minutes is when the coaches coach. And that's very Tom Izzo-esque, right? To close out games, right? And so I do think State's going to make a decent run this year. I do think Michigan may do well. I think they're a little bit younger and the newer-ish coach over the past 2 years, so they may. I'd be interested to see what that happens, but I'll tell you what, man, the talk of college basketball is Cooper Flagg and Duke.
Kid's a total stud.
He is insane.
I mean, it's kind of sad that this is all we're going to see at Duke.
Because he's going to, after this year, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
Which in my opinion, crushes college basketball. If we get to see somebody one time, and then like we were talking yesterday, like, okay, Cooper Flag gets drafted. He gets drafted to a trash NBA team. And then, he's the next Zion Williams.
Yeah, he still gives you 18 and 10, but you never hear about him again.
Yeah, which is disappointing because if he stays at Duke for 4 years, that's all you're going to hear about.
If that team right now stays together, and that goes for a lot of teams, like there's a lot of teams out there like that. Like if they ever stayed together, man, I mean, there's like 3 starting freshmen, like you know what I mean. You're talking about the 3 team in the country with 3-4 freshmen, playing.
Right.
Like, I mean, I wouldn't even be able to. I couldn't even imagine what that team would look like in 3 years.
Right. Exactly. Maybe win 2 back-to-back, something like that. But you just don't see that anymore.
Well, you can't because of the money and because I mean, their goal is to go to the league. So like, if you can go to the league after 1 year at Duke, I mean, listen, that was your goal. Like your goal was to get into Duke maybe, or to get into an SEC school.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel that the NIL money in the middle range of the player keeps the player in the league, in the college basketball longer because of money, right? They don't make that jump to the NBA. So like, do you see a benefit to NIL for players staying in college basketball longer? Even though I know there's the one-off, like the Cooper Flag, those are different. Those are different stories, right? But these guys can make money while staying in college. Is it better for the game?
Yeah.
What's your thought?
Yes, it is. It's better for the game in that sense because you're gonna have like you said, you're gonna have kids. Like, listen, at the end of the day, if you do the numbers, do the math,
right,
a very small percent go to the league.
Yeah,
right.
Which it's crazy when you look that stat up. It's actually crazy.
It's really crazy. So knowing that, and instead of trying to make it. Or like no one would declare to go to the draft if they're not going to get drafted. Like, why wouldn't you stay
people with them, like their agents or whatever, and say, "Hey, this is where you're projected to go. Here's the amount of money you're going to make. Oh, by the way, you're making more money at Michigan. Why don't you just stay here?"
Yeah, and then you're going to be in the G League and try to battle your way, right? And which is cool too if that's what you want to do. But like, yeah, I mean, why not stay at Ole Miss? Or Tennessee or something like that, get the bag, still make your money, still get to play high level.
Or just be like the one dude and just come in on the dunk contest, man. Do a 3-peat from the G League, right?
Yeah, McClung, man. I mean, dude's a freak.
He is a freak.
Yeah.
I saw his highlights from high school. I mean, this dude was balling out in high school like that.
Crazy, dude. Crazy.
No. But I'm just very curious of where this, we talked about a little bit about the NBA, and like, I know a lot of people are off the NBA. Like they don't like it, but something keeps me watching. And I don't want to say watching games. I think it's more like clips, highlights, how LA's doing now with their new acquire. Like those are interesting. So Anthony Edwards highlights are phenomenal. That kid is an absolute stud. Like, what's the NBA missing? Like, what is the NBA missing that it, I did this debate, like, what's better, the 90s or the 2000s or this era?
I think
what's the NBA missing?
The NBA is missing these guys playing every night. I mean, that's what it comes down to. You spend your money and go to a game and find out LeBron's sitting, or which he rarely does, but a guy like that, right? So like, I'm a Sixer fan. I think you know that.
Yep.
And Embiid won't play on a Tuesday. Like, like he won't play back-to-backs. He won't like it's that load management bullshit. And they tried to fix it a little bit by they're actually fining teams that you don't put on injured reserve, like, stuff like that. It's like,
I've noticed that. You know what? That's funny you say that, because earlier in the season, I took my son Dax to a game, and it would have been his first NBA game. Okay. I think this is a perfect analogy. Now, bringing back to perfect situation, what you were talking about is this was he's 10, his first NBA basketball game. We go to the game, we sit down, and again, we're pumped, we're excited. No Cade. He didn't even play in that game. Now, shame on me for not looking it up. But again, I come from the world of 90s basketball. That wasn't the thing. It wasn't a thing to see if your star players playing at a home game. And my other thing is, like, if you're gonna sit your player, okay, don't sit him at home.
No.
Like, don't sit him at home. Sit him in Philly when they're on the road or something like that. These people in this city come to see Cade Cunningham play basketball.
100%. Right?
Dudes from Philly, like, you're not going to the Sixers game to see Cade.
No.
Right?
So, and I think that's a perfect example of what the NBA is missing, right?
Yeah.
So like that turns you off.
Yep.
Right? So now
it turned me off. I don't know if like
you were disappointed.
Disappointed. Absolutely. Yeah. Disappointed. Extremely disappointed, and more disappointed that my son didn't get a chance. Now we'll catch another game, and hopefully I'm going to do my homework before to make sure. But it was tough. He's like, Dad, why isn't Cade playing? Like, I don't know, because he makes too much money and he's tired. Dad, I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, Cade does play a lot of games too, but
it could have been a one-off type situation, but it's my situation, and that's why I went.
Yeah, but that's why when you're clicking around and you see that the Lakers are playing, the Warriors that night, and you get a little excited about things like that, and then you find out Luka's not playing, so you're like, come on, like this, like what is the draw for me to watch the game without some of the stars there? Like I might as well. That's you're watching spring training, right?
Essentially, yeah.
You're rolling the dice to see, which of your starters is going to be in.
For sure. And let's be honest, like, I forget off the top of my head, but like the tickets, I didn't have great seats. It was kind of a last minute thing. Like tickets weren't cheap. Parking wasn't cheap.
No.
Like I paid a good amount of money for my son and I to go to this game. Like,
yeah. And that's what's turning people away, I think, from attendance, I guess, area, but like also viewership, because like, I'm a sports junkie, and I'll watch
but go ahead.
I'll watch anything. I'm on DraftKings at 4 a.m. betting a cricket match in India. Still trying to figure out the game, Brad.
Hope Mary doesn't watch this.
No, it wasn't even televised. I'm just putting money on it. Like
just raw dogging a cricket match at 4 a.m. in the morning.
True story. I laid the money on them. It was Australia and India, and I find out that it was I believe they call it a test match. Okay. Those things last for 3 fucking days. So the next morning, I don't get no resolve, right? I asked my deli guy here, Indian guy. I said, how do you do this? What goes on? He said, bro, that game doesn't end for 2 more days.
This is cricket?
Cricket. So they play like 3 days in a row.
And then one game. It's not 3 separate.
Yes. I'm like, so then I like cash out, like, because
I don't have time for this.
I don't. I'm not. It was so crazy. So it's hard to understand. But yes, very big money game. Colonized countries. U.S. is coming up big with. They're starting to get into it.
Fred, Fred, I refuse to go down this path.
No,
I think you're going down a hole that we don't want. But let's do this. Let's digress here. But I completely lost my train of thought. And I know what I was going to say. One of my favorite videos, obviously, I'm a huge Bob Does Sports fan, and he does a video, and he's like, He's like, here I am eating bonbons, and you see he's like stressing.
Sweating.
He's like, I'm sweating the over of like Washington State and some like random mediocre team at 4:30 in the morning. But that's what FanDuel and DraftKings and all that stuff does to us. We start betting these most random things. It's hilarious
for no reason. Yeah,
none at all.
Yeah. Bob does sports, like, Jersey guy.
What's that?
Bob does sports. Jersey guy,
of course, right?
Come on,
yeah, we know. But with leading in, and we'll end on this. Well, I guess we didn't really say who is your pick to win it all in the March Madness.
It's a tough call. I will say that it's not going to be Auburn.
Okay, I didn't ask you who it's not going to be.
Well, I'm trying to do a little
process elimination.
Yeah. I do like the Dukies. I'm not sure they win the whole thing though. But yes, Florida, okay. The Dukies. You know what? For Jackson,
we know what a big fan you are of the state of Florida, so that makes sense.
I would
waiting room.
Oh God, yeah. I don't want to be in that waiting room. I'd rather die on my couch betting fucking cricket in India at 4 a.m. I'm going to go with, can I go with 2 teams?
If they can allow 2 winners this year, are they going to do something different? You get to pick one, bro. They've won.
I'm going to go with Dookie.
Okay. Duke. Okay. I'm going to go with Duke too. I think Cooper Flag is going to be the real deal. And I think that Michigan State is going to make the Final Four.
I think that it's going to be those. I'm telling you, like I feel like we're not going to see a St. Pete's in the grade 8. We're not going to see.
That's a little disappointing. I'm not going to lie. I love those high seeded teams that make good runs. It makes for a good story.
I mean, it's fun, right?
Right.
Unless you're a fan of the team that gets upset, then you can't stand it. Like, you know,
just like the Michigan fans back when was it Appalachian State beat them, and like you're not excited.
Yeah, you're not excited for that.
My prediction is Michigan will make it to the Sweet 16.
Michigan or State?
Michigan will make it to the Sweet 16. State will make it to the Final Four. I don't know if bracket wise if they'll play each other. I guess it really depends on how that comes out. I looked at like a prediction, and it was like I don't think it would have happened.
It's all bullshit. Those bracketology fucking things. It's like you got. It's like it's almost like It's good for finding out who's going to make the tourney, but when they start to put them in like regions, come on.
Yeah. What the prediction I had, it had both Michigan and Michigan State at number 4. And
2 4 seeds?
Yeah, both of them 4 seeds, which I think would be great seeds because they play like a 12. Is that right? 12 or 13 in the first round, which is a pretty good first
12,
round.
5. 12 play 5s.
12-5. Okay. So I think that'd be a good spot for them. But
they would play a 13, eventually play the 1.
Yeah,
you know,
which I mean, kind of a good,
which would be the grade 8,
right? But I want to end on this last thing. Never really talked about this because I don't know much about it. I would be perfectly transparent. They call this, and I've said this numerous times on this pod, like they call this city Hockeytown. I think it's the most ludicrous thing in the absolute world. This is a football town. We are the.
I think it's ludicrous that you think it's ludicrous.
I do. It's Hockeytown.
It's Hockeytown, USA.
It is not Hockeytown, USA. That's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. Anyway,
it goes by history, not by the last season or two. You don't just call yourself a football city because you went to the NFC Championship one year.
Fred, I'm not kidding.
Have you seen?
This is neither the time nor the place, Fred. I'm not arguing with you this morning.
No, but you understand what I'm saying, though.
I get what you're saying.
Don't diminish what the Wings have done.
When I was in high school, Fred, I'm 45 years old.
What have the Lions done?
Anyway, I want to talk about the 4. the Four Nations.
Four Nations, great, awesome.
So I don't watch hockey. I'm perfectly transparent. Don't watch hockey. If you and you and I did this, like if I get my hands on tickets, I'm going to a hockey game. I love watching NHL hockey in person. It's one of the only sports that I can honestly say that I would enjoy watching in person rather than at home. I just love the feeling of a hockey game. It's really fast. A good time. What's that?
It's fast. It's moving.
Fast, yeah. Right. It's
awesome.
Constant. It's a great sport to watch live. Even my good friend, shout out to JT Bowden, his son Will Bowden, phenomenal hockey player. I love watching him play at the level he's at. He's 17, 18 years old. I got an opportunity to watch the Four Nations things. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know about it until US played Canada and they just started brawling out first game. Like that's when I was like, okay, I'm in. What a cool thing for hockey. I think that it got people talking about hockey for the last couple of weeks. What do you think they're going to do with this? And is this going to be the future of hockey?
Yes. For the All-Star game, All-Star break.
The All-Star break. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why the guys pardon my take, which is absolute my favorite podcast to listen to. They called it an All-Star game, but they used the reference the All-Star game to basically kind of diminish the win of Canada, right? As in they gave him a hard time, which was an absolute hilarious bit. They brought a Canadian guy on, and he was probably one of the best guests I've ever seen on heard on their show. But so this is where we're going to see hockey go.
I mean, it was awesome. It was totally awesome. I think that NBA goes to something like this. I did read something about like US versus the world kind of thing. Game.
That would be awesome.
Something like that. Not like a round robin or something like that, but more of a one game US world. That would be the All-Star game.
I love it.
I'll take that because these guys are going to play.
This is the first I've heard that. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because I actually watched. Fred, did you try chance catch? I don't know what the name of it is, but basically it's the biography or the story of the U.S. team winning the gold this year or last year, Netflix. But then they started.
I didn't watch it, but I saw about it.
But then they started talking about all these other teams like France and some of their old players. And, Vlade Divac was on there, which was super cool. And then I didn't realize that Serbia and how well they were back in the day. And I forget what team it was that didn't play it was Vlade's team. It was Serbia. They didn't play in the 92 Olympics because of what was going on in their country. And their team was stacked back then. And they're even given an argument that they could have made a run and beat the Dream Team, which I think would have been a little crazy to say, but like not even getting the opportunity to play. But man, do I love the idea of the All-Star versus NBA versus the world.
Oh, that would be that. I mean, first, All-Star games are trash. I like the MLB All-Star game. That's my favorite All-Star game out there. You can't play half-ass in a baseball game. So it's kind of hard to like fuck around, right? You're not gonna play. You play the game hard in the All-Star game as well. You may not get maybe not hard as in breaking up two and stuff like that. But it's the only game where you can't like play lower. Like
I got you. Absolutely.
Like if you're pitching and I'm hitting, I'm not going to just let you strike me out.
Right.
And you're not going to just groove to me so I can hit the ball. We're still going to compete against each other. The problem with the NHL, NBA is they don't compete. Yeah. They just it's a pickup game. Like there's
no incentive to win, right?
No.
Does the Major League Baseball still do like the winner?
They don't.
Okay, so that's over. So they're really not playing for anything either.
No, nothing.
So no All-Star game in the majors for anything really means anything.
It means nothing. No, it means absolutely nothing. And like, NFL turned a flag. I mean, talk about like not wanting to compete. Now they're competing more in flag.
Right.
I mean, actually competing against each other.
Right.
Right?
I can honestly say I didn't watch a second of that.
I didn't watch one lick of the NFL, the NHL, or the NBA weekend. I saw highlights of the NBA weekend, but like as for the game where it's like 4 teams, they play each other, first team to 40, and then they play after that. Like, I was just like, I had zero interest in that.
Yeah, I was totally lost. I was at the casino, and I was standing there with my buddy, and he's playing cards, and I'm just kind of watching around. And I look over, and this guy's going nuts. He's like 2 tables over, and he's watching the All-Star game, and he's going crazy. And I'm thinking to myself, like, bro, you want to talk about degenerate gambler? Like, how much did you put on the All-Star game? And then I realized that they were going to 40.
Yeah.
I was totally lost.
Yeah. So like it's a race to 40, 4 teams, and then the 2 winners play each other another half hour later. Like it's pickup basketball. Like, so but the 4 nations, I believe what's going to happen is they're going to rotate in some nations.
Okay.
So
now that was the other thing that people were saying, like, look, we can't, you can't compete like this unless the Russians are in.
Yeah.
Like you can't call yourself an outright winner if the Russians aren't in the mix.
Yeah, and that's why they're not calling it like the World Cup type thing. It's just the 4-nation tournament, and I believe that U.S. Canada will be in the 4, and the other 2 will get swapped out and to get some other country some recognition and shit.
That'll be
which would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good tournament.
Yeah.
I mean,
totally agree.
It was what
I think that they're looking, not me personally, but I think they're looking to attract a bigger audience, and like somebody like myself who maybe isn't an overly active NHL watcher to tune in and maybe get more excited about hockey. So I think their goal was reached by, having more eyes on the game.
And then listen, everyone's going to watch U.S. Canada. So it doesn't, but throw a Russia in there. Oh my God. I mean, it will, like now you're talking about like, even more viewership.
For sure.
Yeah.
But all right, Fred. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. Hopefully I can get you back on next week. We got, like I said, I missed you last week, but that was on me. But hopefully we can keep this train rolling and get you back on next week.
Listen, you got to keep up on the women's sports.
Fred, I'm not going to do this with you. I'm not watching women's basketball.
You're missing out. First of all, also, real quick, She Believes Cup. I don't know. Do you watch even the U.S. women's national team soccer?
No.
Oh, Bradley.
I'll watch the Women's World Cup.
Well, I mean, right now they're in the She Believes Cup.
I feel like you're making this up, Fred.
I'm not. They played Colombia last week. They won 2-0. And it was the first time since they played them last year where they got into a little scuffle.
I feel like all my viewers are just dropping off right now, Fred.
They're just.
Do you have last question before we go? Do you, yes or no? Do you have a Caitlin Clark jersey?
No, but it's on order.
Awesome.
I'm still deciding between the Iowa one or the Indiana Fever.
Fred, you have a great day, man. I'll talk to you next week, brother.
Take care, buddy.
Take care, everybody. Have a great week. Take care.